there's no one answer to what makes a good prospect. There's a lot of best practices we're going to go through, but the thing we have to keep in mind is in the digital world, there are very few companies that we can't help grow their business. And that's because of the amount of people and amount of data we have to target customers. Okay? We have a lot of non-traditional clients that would never touch television because the audience would be too broad. We have B2B clients that want to do something very industry specific. So the short answer is any client can be a good digital client. But what makes a really good client? So let's go through those things. Let's first think about what makes a prospect, just in general. They know they have a need. They've got a problem to solve. They've got a new brand, a new product. They want to increase sales 10% this year. They know they have a need to do something. They have the authority to make a decision, meaning they're the business owner or they're the marketing director that gets those rights handed to them. They can make that decision. They have a sense of urgency. They're not planning for 15 months down the road. That's no fun. They're planning for something this spring or this summer. They have a sense of urgency coming up. And they're willing to listen. They're looking for ideas, whether that's just you or you in the market. You obviously navigate that piece. But their willingness to be pitched. They have the willingness to want to have a solution provided to them. What makes a good digital prospect specifically? Don't read the screen. Eyes off the screen. What do you guys think makes a good digital prospect? Any answer is a good answer, unless I say it's a bad answer.
If the people they're targeting are computer, like if they know their people are on digital, if they're on social, if they're on.
I'll wrap that up and say it's a niche audience. Yes.
Yeah. Multiple
Whoa.
products.
Multiple product lines. Love multiple product lines.
Multiple locations.
Multiple locations.
Great. They have a good idea of who their current clients are to retarget to.
I would agree. They have an understanding of who they need to reach. I like that one too.
Web action with their business.
Web-
When you buy something online.
Actionable things on their website. Love it. Paul, you had one?
This might be going off Nikki's, but it's just like focusing on who they want to go after, who they that's something Colleen and I talked about today.
Yep.
Instead of doing the TV route.
Yep.
towards digital.
These are all really good incoming. These are all really good examples. The key 6 things that I tend to always come back to, and this is like a never fail. If your client, your prospect fits the majority of these 6, you know they're going to be a good prospect. The sweet spot of size. So, as we all know, we can affect change digitally at a different price point than you can in the billboard world or sponsorships with the Colts or broadcast television campaigns. You can make change for a smaller investment amount. That being said, you don't want to spin your tires on guys that want to spend $500. It's not really going to add up very quickly. Okay? As you all have learned, setting up a campaign that's $2,000 versus $20,000 is about the same amount of work.
So can I just add something? One of the things that I had to get over is short selling what a potential business was worth.
Mm-hmm.
Musselman is a good example. They have several $1 million a year in sales, and I would never think that
Yep.
just by walking in the door.
It
And
goes-
then you see the credit, and you're like, oh wow, I should ask for another $10,000.
It goes back to a really good CNA, right?
What'd you say?
Goes back to having a really good CNA to understand what that opportunity is. So an established business sweet spot. There's exceptions to every rule, guys, but the first thing is that sweet spot. $500,000 to $10 million in revenue. It's a really good sweet spot that is around a lot of our clients, but we have plenty of clients that are well above $10 million a year, as we all know. The reason this sweet spot works for us is because they're in growth mode. They typically aren't on many agencies' radars, and they're not broke. So sweet spot. Workforce size, kind of going back to the same thing as number 1. It is at least a marketing person or greater, but less than having a big agency in part of their business. Does everyone understand what I mean by that? I'm talking about the decision maker, how the decisions get made. It's not one person running the business that decides everything and you never can get their attention. And it's also not someone that hires the big 3 agencies in town on average, right? Do we work with one-man bands? Absolutely. Do we work with agencies? Absolutely. It's a sweet spot. Unique or defined geographic market. Greg pointed this one out. Digitally, you are able to combine any weird amoeba-shaped geographical area you ever need. If you have a client that is in 3 counties plus 1 zip code and the state of Michigan, all good. Does not matter. So unique geographical areas, a broad yet defined target audience. More defined than homeowners. We can do that all day long. Less defined than a 22-year-old that owns a home and drives a red Honda Accord and has X amount of debt. It's a sweet spot in between. Broad yet defined. Homeowners with the home value of $250K looking to refinance. That's a specific market in that it's not the entire housing market, but it's also big enough to where we can affect change for the client and get them from a lot of people. I think Carolyn mentioned this one. Multiple product lines. We love this one. Love, love, love. Because typically what results is multiple campaigns within the campaign. Your campaign budget is $10,000 a month, and we have it segmented to finance, first-time home buyers, veterans loans. Those are 3 different audiences within the same client. We love number 5. And then 6, seasonality, need for flexibility. Do they have a lot of change throughout their year? It might be hard to make 17 different commercials throughout the year, but can we make them 17 social ads pretty quickly? Yeah, we can. Do these all make sense, guys? Do you see how these kind of interwork? You don't have to have all 6. You don't need to have only 6. But if you hit on multiple of these, you know you're sniffing down the right lane. So now that we know who we're looking for, how do we get the meeting?